What's up guys, it's the Devil's Talon here, and in today's video we have another installment of Viewer Vod Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at MattyBRaps and how his trio performed in NA West FNCS. But before I get into this analysis guys, if you do enjoy my content or find what I'm telling you helpful, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. Also, for me to continue this series, I need VODs to review. If you are interested in having your gameplay reviewed, please contact me at either Instagram or Twitter. Those social links will be down below in the description. But without further ado, let's just jump right in. Alright, as you can see on the screen, we have MattyBRaps POV. They are kind of attempting to do a split drop, but it actually isn't a true split drop because you do have one of your teammates landing at the same kind of general location. Unfortunately, if you're going to split drop, you're going to have to take the risk of landing at 3 separate places to really maximize your loot. Now, you're splitting this little POI's loot between 3. It's really going to minimize your chances. If you're already deciding to split drop, it would be best to land somewhere else nearby as one of these solos to kind of maximize what you can loot. But this is going to end up hurting them a little bit. Their loot is not the absolute greatest. I like the attempt. I think split drops are very, very efficient and useful in trios, especially with the 50% chest spawn rate. But I believe the split needs to be a little bit strengthened by looking somewhere else to maybe garner some loot. They were very lacking on mobility. They really only had peppermints, no bouncers, no shocks. So very, very unfortunate. But we're going to just move on into their first rotation, and their first rotation kind of unfortunately gets them a little bit scuffed. So they end up getting in here, they have a truck and a car. Now, I think the decision to take 2 separate cars was for the protection factor. If you have one sitting in the back, they're easier to get fried. And again, the truck is faster on grass. Now, I think this is what's going to end up hurting them. They don't stay together very well in this rotation. And if protection was your main worry, why not all sit in the car that would be protected? So the one that 200 pump, reach 200 pump is taking. And what ends up happening is due to the slowness of the car behind, they end up getting a little bit caught up and it's going to cost them. So we're going to jump forward a little bit. So they're rotating out. Notice how far reach 200 pump is. And now they have this option to go through there. And instead they run up into this duo. And Trav gets out of the car. And Matty B, I don't know if he was surprised that he did that. But it would have been a little bit better just to keep on going. Because now you have to wait for your teammate. And what's going to end up occurring here eventually is that reach 200 pump is going to get a little bit of his shield taken off. Trav and Matty B are just kind of wait for him. Again, an avoidable mistake. But let's just take a look at our position, right? We're at second. We're still in first zone, and we're on edge, which is never ideal, which means for first zone, almost guaranteed we're going to have to move somewhere else. And this trio is kind of holding us when we could have just maybe taken the road over here and used our cars. We kind of abandoned the cars as well. So just not ideal, especially in first. We're kind of already nowhere where we want to be. Again, a little bit maybe more awareness before driving down to kind of see where teams are, and then kind of drive accordingly to that could have been another possible play, as well as staying together. So I like that they've created a lot of space. This is definitely good. This is going to benefit them in this fight, as you're going to see. So good decision to create a lot of space, playing the waiting game here to get 200 pump to them. And 200 pump is going to get tagged up a little bit. Trav just got tagged up a little bit as well. Maybe taking a solo peek he shouldn't have. I don't know if he ended up frying the opponent. We don't have the POV. But now extending in hard. I like the decision to switch to hard. The initial panic box up in wood wasn't as good. Now pump has made it to them with the loss of some utility. It doesn't appear to be any bigs. So good awareness right there to hold the roof right there from the crash pad. That's always smart when opponents are above you. They may cycle in with the crash pad. You're going to see Matty B take a right-hand peek, however, not maximize it by making a 3-tile edit right here. Either that or it was the opponent's. The 3-tile edit leaves him wide open for an easy crack. And then the opponent crash pads in. 200 pump is sitting in a cone and everything's scuffed. Trav, Matty does a good attempt at trying to extend. Trav needs to extend instead of just trying to sit and hold in the box. He ends up getting taken out, but fortunately Matty clutches up with 2 HP. Reach 200 pump also gets a pickup, so this is really, really good. Recovery. Unfortunately, one of the teammates lost, but it looks like that they are going to recover, and they actually do. But without one of them taken out. But this fight was completely avoidable by one sticking together and using the actual cars to get into zone and not just kind of be content to play edge, because again, look how far we have to go, right? Good job by MattyB right here to get up and then finally pop heals, get to his teammate, then worry about popping heals to help. This is a much better angle. It's a good attempt at piece control. But it's a 2v1, so it's really not that. You can definitely aggress as long as you play together. But this fight is kind of dragging a tad bit long, especially with how Matty needs to take another mini as well. Just a little bit of a mental error right there. Just make sure you get both minis off. But ends up getting the kill, ends up working. But unfortunately now we have to worry about getting a reboot, which can really, really scuff. Fortunately it doesn't. They get a very favorable zone on the rotate. They do go to Salty somewhere in zone, and they end up getting a very favorable rotate. They have advantage cannon, and they're actually going to get a very nice zone. But again, they get out of the car again at edge. Why not take the car and get a center and as safely? It's much safer being in the car rotating than it is than just walking out on the own. You don't have to waste builds. You don't have to really worry as much. So I just use the cars better. Is the biggest thing that's glaringly obvious is like they have this car and they just kind of never use it properly, is what I've seen thus far. They get a good job, and then they look around, and this is kind of good awareness. This is good rotation. We're like, okay, like there's no one that's glaringly obvious around me, so I'm gonna go up and take this elevation right here, make my rotations easy for next zone. It's like even if they don't get this zone, elevations always makes your rotations easier. So good box up in wood. Not the best on materials, about 100-ish, but that's again due to the fight and poor positioning early. So they do better. They sit here and wait. They don't get zone, which is okay, right? Because our rotation should be very, very easy. And look, we have a shortest rotate, probably around 100, 150 meters. And they go early. Now, good awareness right here from Trap Trav. I like them just burning their wood, protecting their left, because they see opponents right there. And this is good. This is a really good rotate. I like the decision to box up here. Again, right here on edge, playing edge. That's definitely correct. However, they could probably have gone for a little bit more elevation to hold anybody that is coming this way. But again, hindsight 2020, there's only looks like 2 teams that are out on this side, and if most of the teams are actually on the bottom half. So not maybe any opportunity. And if we check and look at the rotation, there actually wasn't. The only team that's really behind them is there. They're at Storm Surge due to their previous engagement win. They don't have to worry about it. All right, so we're going to just skip in the next one. Now we have a max pull. And now, so let me look. So hopefully, so Trap Trav, I don't know who the IGL, I don't know the roles. If Trap Trav is the IGL here, he should be recognizing early. If they have any mobility or movement, you need to move this zone early. It's a max pull. I would go early here. And so what you're going to see, what ends up costing them is that everyone that's not in there is trying to get in there. You want to be ones that are, you want to be aggressive in this rotate. You don't want to run into a bunch of congestion and burn a bunch of matches, especially when you're not the healthiest. So they all kind of, I think, pop peppers or utility, which is good, smart. And look, these teams are already stacked over here. I don't know what ends up happening here with replay, but things seemed a little bit scuffed. They get shot from the side. And if you go early, you can kind of just look at all this congestion that's going to be forming, right? It doesn't, you know that there's going to be teams there already. So you can kind of assume that there's already going to be congestion. Like, you don't want to be there when congestion is being even more made. A good job by MattyB to get to Trap Trav right here. But building, like rotating in wood, like you see some of the pitfalls, like it's good to burn your wood. And notice how, again, 200 pump reach is, they're kind of a little bit split. They're playing on a good side. They're playing on a good side of Storm where they're not burning too much mats. However, they're going to have another horrible zone. And this is where you need to get impacts is key. Like looking at Matty B, he's sitting about 30 builds. And this is a decently stacked game. 49 people going into first moving. So again, another decision. And again, is we got to look. We got to look to decide, okay, which way we're going to go. Hindsight's 2020. Going right would be less congested. But they do make immediate decision to go dead side. Look at all these old builds. Looks like Trap Trav is leading. Now they make the decision not to go for some reason. They may have gotten shot or held. So this kind of just, they kind of go off to the side. Like that decision kind of wastes some time. And then we just jump into a bunch of old builds, which can be good. Well, they're low. They could have maybe gone up a layer and continue to hug that side, because now you're right in the thick of things. And then you get crash padded. Like everyone's in the middle. If you at least hug to the side, you know, if you just hug that storm where they were, which I'll just kind of go back and show that maybe that one team, like I understand they were trying to avoid, and you're having to play low. Matty's sitting at 18 builds and then replay. But look how kind of free this side was. But they kind of went into the congestion. They went right into the congestion. That one team is worth trying to either spray, like one could, I think Trap Trav was doing a good job of spraying them off, and then someone needs to kind of just like take over a tarp or make a decision to maybe even tank some storm or go around them. It's so worth, especially with Bandage Cannon, right? They have two builds. Trap Trav is sitting at less than like 510 HP, and then they get finally a decently good zone. But they're going to have to play ulti low. They're in a horrendous position. And this is also due to their loot, right? No true mobility. Need to go for the piece control there to make sure you really get that impact. That would have been very, very helpful. They do a good job of spraying through, but it's like they haven't moved at all. And they're just stuck in the back, right? Look at this congestion. They have to go up elevation. They don't have mats. They don't have anything. They don't have any utility. And this kind of maybe could have been avoided with that early game fight, right? They could have saved more mats. They could have maybe, unfortunately, their impacts didn't grant them anything. I think the one rotational decision that I saw, like I said, that could have been improved, we're just going to talk about this right here, is when they go right here. And notice how that's wood. I don't know. So, yeah, there's a cone, so there's no place for a ramp. But what you could do is maybe spray that wall off, then get a ramp. I know they were scared. They said there's no way that... It looks like you did some damage to him, or at least... But, like, this decision going out through mid, it just caused a whole lot of... It wasn't just commitment. It was just a commitment issue. If you kind of spray through and get away, like, I think it just, unfortunately, because then it got you into the super scuff layer. If this was the... And then you get crash pad down. And then kind of you're getting more and more and more and more and more into the congestion, right? There's so much congestion. Look how free that bottom left-hand side is. Look at it. There's no one there. There's no one here to this left side. This left side was so free, but instead pushing up into all this congestion, and that's like you got crash padded down. And look how many kids are there to the right. Like look how there's no one in this entire left-hand FOV to even worry about. I don't know if they get ahead. Unfortunately, due to the replay bug, can't see too much. And now we're sitting at 2 builds. And again, and this is kind of forms from the beginning, is like you maximize with the cars, save your materials, right? If you just maximize those cars, you save all the materials from that fight. You don't have to worry about rebooting. You improve your position early. And then maybe you can get impacts as a team to get mobility and utility. So the biggest thing that I see overall from this VOD review is just car utilization. That's probably the most glaringly obvious issue in this one game that I saw, is just not maximizing the car. It just unfortunately did not end up working out in their favor. They did probably the best they could. I believe they end up 3 eliminations, and I'm going to say probably they end up finishing, I believe, 11th as a squad, which is just not horrendous, but it's not as great, especially when you're very close to qualifying range. I'm not sure what the qual on NA West is. On East it was 108, so I'm assuming West being a smaller region, the qual is probably just slightly less for qualification. But there was definitely some good stuff. They showed a good understanding of extending and creating space. They showed a decent understanding of where to go. It's just there was a commitment issue in that last one. And I think another thing is just improving that that trio split. Improve that trio split, you'll have a better chance, more opportunities for loot, right? So if you land at 3 solo locations, it gives you 3 basically good opportunities to get some good RNG, as opposed to now you're landing 1 at a solo location and 2 at the kind of same location. You're minimizing your loot. So a good attempt at the split drop just needs to be improved overall. Well, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope that you did enjoy today's Viewer Vod review. If you did, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. And I'll be seeing you in the next Viewer Vod review. Peace.